actually need to go live in order for anything to happen. Turn my volume down. Test, 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 test. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. That's still kind of quiet. I may have bungled a volume setting somewhere. So we're going to fix that first. Sure. Nope, okay, that seems to be good. Maybe it's just I disabled it. Oh. Really sorry to whoever that was super loud there for a sec. Yep, okay, and I can stream in 1440, so. Yeah, I guess I just have to turn that up when I've got the pad on, which is test, 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 test. It's negligible. Okay, so, I have a Nixie tube block that I soldered together kind of poorly some years ago now. It needs a case, of course. I have this old thing that I designed in SketchUp that, you know, it slotted into place, it fits well enough, but I don't like the design very much, and I think I can do better. So, last night, in a fit of modeling fury, I did up this little doodad. We'll just isolate this guy for a sec. Right click isolate. And it is, you know, space for the buzzer, holes and indents to make it easy to get to the buttons, and then pass-throughs for all the lights and stuff. I don't have any clear filament, so I won't be printing it with that, but I don't know, it'll get printed. It'll be a real physical thing, probably. And what I need to do today is, I don't have any legs for this thing yet, so I was going to do this last night, but I'm like, well, I don't actually have a concrete plan for it, so I had to come up with one of those, and then it should be pretty quick to just model up a quick set of legs. Well, they're not going to be super quick, because I'm going to be a little bit ornate, but we'll see how that goes. So, first up, I want kind of a circle-y shape. Roughly concentric. Let's see, how do I want this to look? I think I'm okay with this just being sort of straight back. And then I'm gonna... Actually, I should make myself a symmetry line first. And we're gonna make these two guys concentric while we're here. Get everything lined up. Coincident with that, so that's when I do this, and then a quick mirror. Everything goes where it needs to. Now a quick partial ellipse. We're gonna go down first because it starts your partial ellipse curve from the second point you draw. So I can come out here, touch that guy, come over there, touch that. Oops. I do need to touch though. We can make this tangent. Now I should be able to drag this around with impunity. Well, not quite. Okay. This is going to be 3.2mm hole to match my fasteners, which are M3s. These are 54mm apart, so that's going to get kind of weird. But these two, oops, shift click between these two lets you specify the distance, and I want this to only be barely more than, I want this to be like 2 or 3 layers, or actually not 0.4 but 0.8. Let's do 1.2 and we'll see how that looks in a bit. I also know that I have sort of a keep out line that I have to care about, that is the edge of the board, and that's going to tell me I want this to be past the edge of the board so you can sort of see it behind the cutout. So we're going to say that's, oh, I don't remember how far it is from the center line. It's like, well, that's why I have the model that I made. Got this reference over here. This was something that I also modeled last night, this sort of green bluey cyan thing. I wanted to have sort of a rough model so I could work around it, since obviously I can't just scan this guy because it's got glass bits and lots of things are reflective. It it won't digitize well. So it just, and since I don't have a CAD, the guy, it's funny actually. I wonder if it says, yeah, nixieclock.eu. Oh, hang on, where's the camera? nixieclock.eu. That website has been shut down for non-payment of fees or whatever, which is disappointing, but you know, people can't keep their businesses going forever. But I couldn't find the original CAD for this, so I had no way of importing it via some sort of like two-way connection between electrical CAD and mechanical CAD, so I have to make do with what I got. Anyway, edge of the board, 2.85 millimeters, roughly. That's pretty close to what I measured last night as well, so call this guy 2.85. And from that line down to the outer edge of the ellipse, let's say that's 3 millimeters. This point out here looks like it's defining the center line. Yeah, it is. I want that to be probably 5 millimeters thick. Yeah, that's fine. I even got calipers here too, so I can check it. Zeroed something funny. 5's a little thin. Let's go to 8 millimeters. I may even make this a little longer too. So now that we have that, I'm going to extend this 9 millimeters upward, since I want this to define sort of the top face, and then it'll make sense in a bit. And then I want a direction 2 and make that, say, well, board thickness is 1.5, and I should do this with equations, but I'm just going to say 7.5 since I want about 6 millimeters of space below the bottom. Ooh. No, yeah, that is okay. Okay. One of the things that matters is when you're thinking about your slicing plane, you can only go in 0.2 millimeter increments. So this would have to be 7.6 if I wanted to be safe. Wow, that looks like a lot more offset than I thought. So we're going to show this sketch again, and then I'm going to come around to the left side, do a quick extruded cut from the right plane. And I want it to be, let's see, that should pierce that, because that's going to define the inner corner of where I'm restricting the PCB. And then we can pick this edge. Oops. I have to do it from the left view, so you can pick an outer edge of a face that isn't necessarily perpendicular. Make those collinear, and then give myself a single dimension here. Probably 1.55. Make sure I've got some clearance in the part. So through all both, gives me a slot cutout. And now we'll save this guy as enclosure leg. We'll call it the side because it's two legs rather than just a side piece. Oops. Assembly, insert, closure side. And I still have mate quick bound, so that's pretty easy. I don't want to lock rotation because I want to mate this by the holes themselves. That means it'll break if I ever change the dimensions of the holes or change the spacing between them, but that's something that I'm willing to deal with. Now copy with mates, so I can do the same thing on the other side. You just select the part you want, and then in the same order, repeat all the faces you picked. There you go, there's your second part. So now what I'm going to do is move this inward a lot, because I did not envision that being that far out in my head. Oh wow, 3 viewers. Howdy folks. Okay, so let's take this one down to maybe 2 millimeters. Maybe that down to like 6 millimeters. That's a little more appropriate. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want a cutout kind of like this, to sort of get rid of that material on the side. So we'll do that in a separate extruded cut. I do have this existing cut extrude for making clearance for the PCB, And even though it's going in the same place, I shouldn't really use it for the other feature because they're two separate things. Oh, I should name them as well. Body extrude and PCB cutout. Now we'll go from the left edge again. Ooh, I don't want a reference to that edge, actually. Safest way to do it, pick that edge and a pierce. That way, I'm not liable to get any silliness. So this is a little more interesting. How am I going to make sure that this interface is at the right position? And I think what I want to do is kind of I think I can convert these two edges. I can add myself a third one over here. Whoops. Make this guy here in the middle construction. And then if I select all these and then go symmetric, this guy ends up in the right position. So it's going to be the same distance as this edge is from the center line, which is exactly what I want. So, whoops, hang on. Why is that gray? Hang on, through all both. Open it. Oh, because it's got open and close contours. It's just throwing a fit. We'll select those 2 points and go merge. Now it's right where I want it. Now I only need to specify this one, which I want that to be fairly long because it should be kind of steep. Ooh, maybe I want to... So now here's the question. Do I want to control this guy with a radius, which would work fine, or I can control it with a starting angle? And I kind of prefer to control it with a starting angle. So what I'll do, because SOLIDWORKS doesn't let you dimension between a line and a tangent of a circle, you have to do some sort of finagling. So draw this guy down here, and now I can control it with a tangent, which is nice. Do a quick dimension it here, say, whoops, hang on. 15 degrees is probably fine. How does that look? Oh, I forgot. It doesn't actually. There we go. Okay, through all both. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I'm not a huge fan of this because that looks really jacked up, but we can fix that. So, extruded cut, front plane. Ooh, I should do this with an ellipse too. Whoops. So the origin's down there, which isn't convenient, but I can do a partial ellipse. Hang on, front plane. Pick kind of here-ish. I want to go to that edge because that one. Yeah. Okay. That's messed up. Why'd you do that, SOLIDWORKS? Okay, hang on. I think an easier way to do this would just be a regular ellipse and then trim it. So now I have to go this edge to this edge. Select, actually I don't want that to be construction because I have to trim it later. Or I have to trim this top bit off here. Make that tangent. And then because I know these points are in the plane, it's safe for me to do coincident, but generally you want to stick with a pierce constraint because it's just safer. It also isn't fully defined, and doink. Cool. Now I should be able to do a up to next. And it should, yep, nicely clean that out. Cool. Now I need to figure out a way to make the nuts fit into that. So, ooh, this actually should have reliefs in it too. Let me do that real quick. Dog boning, as it were. Oh, actually, maybe I can't do that. Well, maybe I can. Let's do this. Let's try pick 2 points vertical from one another. And then just kind of do that. I'll make that coincident. Oop, and these points need to be vertical because I want it to be symmetrical. And then I think with trim entities, I could do keep trimmed as construction. There we go. Okay, now I have all my material in the right spot, so. Oh, I don't even need to make that line there. I can just pick these two guys and go Alt-Q, and now they're equal. And now that's right on center line. Awesome. Yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for. This thing's going to be a super pain in the ass to print, though. Okay, so I got captive, top and bottom. How are we looking over here? Yeah. That's looking nice. I can probably even shorten this up a little bit more. Maybe only 1 millimeter? Maybe I want this higher up. Define it as some other distance. So apparently I lied about having a very firm idea of what I wanted this to look like. We'll pull this guy up and define him as a height below the top then. Say 8 millimeters. This is probably good enough as it is. I just need to add sockets for nuts. So I'm going to do the standard. Clark can't remember what a nut dimension is, because I really, at this point I should be able to. I think it's 5.5, but that might also be M4s. Okay, yeah, width across flat's 5.5. So we're going to come down here to the bottom. We're going to go extruded cut. Yeah. I could do this with a pattern, but I've only got 2 nuts here. It really doesn't make sense. So I'm just going to make these two both horizontal so they can't rotate. Pick the 2 circles, Alt-Q, 5.5. Yeah, that should work. Exit sketch. Oh, hang on. How thick was that supposed to be? It's in here somewhere. Did I just immediately close the window? I did. Okay. 2.4 millimeters thick. So we're going to go a little bit more than that. Say maybe 4 millimeters. And other offset up to next. Draft outward just a little bit. Whoops. Drafted inward, not outward. Draft outward. That's gross. Don't like that. Okay, we can fix that though. This is gonna look really gross for a sec, but I promise it'll make sense. So, we extended this guy. We extend these guys. And you just have to have these edges out here so that these lower ones can have something to go to. And then I'm going to do trim to get rid of all this excess. And then we do trim but keep as construction. So that we only convert... Hang on, did I do some funny stuff over here? Yeah, okay, those are all separate segments now, but I'm just not going to worry about that. These are all still closed profiles, so I'm not too worried. Oh, nuts. That still leaves that one, though. Well. Okay. I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to just accept that it's going to be a slightly more gross way instead. So delete all this nonsense. Whoops. Broke it. Too many Control-C's. Yeah, okay, I accidentally Control-Z'd out of the operation itself. Whoops. So 4mm offset into the part, go the other direction, do up to next, and draft outward. Then I'm going to do the laziest possible thing, and I'm just going to delete face. Because I'm not really ever going to change that, and I know I don't ever want any faces from that, so delete and patch by extending surrounding faces. Yes. Cool. Just cleans it right up. Do some cleanup naming here. Side long cuts. Between fastener cuts. 3 nuts cut. And weird tooth removal. You could almost call it the dentistry operation. Cool. Okay. That's mostly done. It's probably actually printable as is. You could print it like this, maybe? That would probably come out best. Or like this, but then you're really limited in contact patch with the printer, which would make it really easy to knock over, which I'm not a fan of. How does it look in the assembly context anyway? That looks fine. This should be trimmed away a little though. I'm going to be really lazy about this. Actually, hang on. Oh, don't see about where I can put you. Get this all lined up. And now that I look at it, that might actually remove most of my locating features, but we're going to solve that later. Exit sketch. Through all both. How's that look? Yeah, that removes most of my locating features. I'm going to go a little bit against my normal grain here and add fillets before I do some finishing ops. And then with this guy, oops, wrong side. I'm gonna keep the ellipse for sure. And then just trim away the excess like usual. Oops, you should be tangent. And you should be collinear with that. Ooh, favorite new trick I've recently discovered. You pick a line and then a face, you can do collinear and it just is fully constrained to the face. Super duper handy. Maybe not necessarily as clean as doing things with a single master sketch, but good enough. So let's drag that back to something that looks nice. Say maybe 2, and say 4.5 perhaps. What does that look like? Doesn't quite cut it back enough. Cuts it back a little too much. That's alright. I still have to have enough meat here that I can still feasibly guarantee that the nut's going to get trapped. And it's not telling me that distance by default. 2.6. just barely going to be enough. It'll be peeking out from the bottom, I think, which will look nice. Now to do a whole bunch of chamfers. Really doesn't like doing those at the same time. Oh, really wants tangent propagation for those as well. Oh, my bed is a mess. Sorry. Usually I forget, but it's a Sunday morning. Oh, that's gonna be rubbish. One second. What you can't see is I just recently organized all of that and went and got myself some shelves, so I was feeling pretty proud of that and neglected some other things as a result. Okay, what else have we got? We've got... I guess that's really most of it for all the surfaces I want chamfered. Maybe I could say that I want... Well, but that won't even work either because that's going to cause problems in there. Well, if I do this as well... Okay, it will let me chamfer all that. Nice. But I really am worried now about that distance. Yeah, that's only going to be one wide. Probably shouldn't chamfer there. Chamfer on the bottom, fine, but the sides probably not. What am I missing? Oh, that... Oh, I can't really do that chamfer, can I? This is going to be a foot for the Nixie clock. So I've already got a top sort of roughed out, but last night I didn't have a very firm concept in my head for how I wanted the leg to look, so I couldn't really go anywhere with it. But now I have a firm concept. So, oh, you know what? I shouldn't chamfer that because it's gonna have a nut right on the bottom. So I can just get rid of that. I don't even really want to chamfer that one because I don't really have. I can't really afford removing the material there, so. But you're only going to see the outside anyway, so. Yeah, that looks pretty good. There's no real support under the PCB, but it doesn't really need it. If I want it, I can always just design and print another one later, so. I think I'm going to, let's finish up this top piece now, so. Ooh, actually, hang on. I should start these legs printing first. And I should verify that it's actually a printable it's the right thickness for a fastener. So we've got 15 millimeters here. How far is it to the bottom? 19.5. That's not going to work because I don't think I have any 18 millimeter long fasteners. I've got 60 millimeters and I have 20 millimeters. So a 15 millimeter length from here, or a 16 millimeter length from here to here is not going to work, and 20 millimeters is going to be too far, so I have to tweak some things. Just make this guy a little bit longer. Oh, I forgot I did that from there first, so we actually have to come over here, and it's a dimension of the feature for how thick I want it, so let's add see, it was 15 down, which puts us at basically 16. We need 3 for the nut at the end, so we need to go 2 millimeters more, 9.5 roughly. And this point to this surface right here, 2.6. So this is a good sort of rough spot to guess where the end of the nut's going to be. And that is now exactly 20 millimeters. Well, it says 20.11. That's pretty much exact on 3D printer terms. So let's get those printing. That's probably going to take a while too. Those are 2.5 inches long, roughly. It's going to be a little while. So, get Cura up. Well, actually, I'll just do this. All discombobulated. Save as. Side STL. Yep. By the way, the reason all my models look so nice and clean when they come out as STLs is because when I'm working in CAD, I'm not thinking about topology like people using Blender have to do. They don't have to say, I want this many. You don't have to describe very early in your model how many facets you have around your circle. You just tell SolidWorks at the very end, I want this bare minimum accuracy and this like maximum angular distance around circles. Makes everything look so much nicer. It kind of boggles the mind that people are okay with putting out things that don't look smooth, I guess. I mean, they work, but you can end up with sharp interior corners in some places. And I am realizing that I've got my folder structure all messed up here. Ignis files. Oh, whoops. Okay, so let's open up Cura. Should get a Cura splash here in the next minute or two. Nope, it's deciding it wants to start over on my other monitor. Thanks, Cura. Side effects of open source software. So let's rotate this guy up. Oops, not up, not upside down, please. And then we'll just make a pair of them. Looks good. Gonna need support on that nut face, which should be okay. Quick preview. Biggest complaint about Cura, mouse motion is not concurrent with motion in screen space. Very annoying coming from SolidWorks. Okay, so we got some little tidbits sort of defining where those edges are, but I mean, if these surfaces, these layers in here end up being weak, then I just chip them out and it's fine. So, because what really matters is that it has to fit the PCB. And I can always just sand it out too. Not really sure what it's going for over here. It seems to think that it needs a little bit of extra support. It's probably going to end up with some dingleberries hanging off the side because printing in the void there. But, oh, that reminds me. Something else I was going to try. Support interface. Density. Somewhere in here there is a multiplier. Okay. Interface. Here we go. Support interface line width. I'm going to make this really small, and it's going to be potentially kind of crunchy, but I've been wondering if it's possible to do this for a while. So let's try bringing the interface width down. And I want the interface density to be really high, like 60. So it should be super easy to chip out, but it's also going to be, it's going to have plenty of spots where it touches the surface, and plenty of space for this to like lay down clean lines on. It'll have lots of attachment points, so it shouldn't smear around too much. Oh, hang on, I just realized I was having chat. Chat. Very much an experiment. I have no idea if it's going to work. Well, I mean, it should work, but should is not will, so. Cool. Let's pull up Octoprint. That's Octopi window? There we go. Okay. Octopi. See if Tasmoda wants to wake up. My mouse is suddenly laggy. And I think it's... Okay. You know, it works. It's there. I know it's there. I just turned the thing on this morning. Okay, fine. Octoplug. Is taking ages to respond. It's a characteristic. There we go. Okay. Something about the way that OBS is capturing my screen makes my mouse lag noticeably by about a couple of frames. And I do not know what's doing it, but it's very annoying. See, if I switch back to main monitor... Hang on. Maybe I'm just having a stroke and I'm not noticing because something feels wrong with my mouse. Oh man, it's so slow. Let's just have bad connection. Okay, let me crawl down beneath my desk and just press the button. That's what should happen, is I should hear a couple of clicks and things should just turn on. But now we have our fabulous little green doodad. It does auto-connect, but I'm not going to wait 5 seconds for it to auto-connect when I can click a button and tell it to do it now. Let's go down to the clock case. Closure side G-code. I probably should have called it 2x G-code. I hope you can't hear too much of the buzzing in the background, because it's definitely audible in my room. Let's get these up. Okay, create folder, 21040 for the Nixie clock, and we're going to upload. I thought I had the Explorer window open somewhere. Yeah, okay, there we go. G-code, drag and drop. And it does my favorite thing, which is Arc Welder. Freaking amazing if you draw a whole bunch of things with circular profiles. It turns your G0s and G1s into G2s and G3s, which are the G-code commands for circles, basically, clockwise and counterclockwise. And it super duper compresses your stuff. So if we go and look at the Arc Welder report, is this the Arc Welder report? Current running configuration. Hang on. It's in here somewhere. Oh, it didn't realize that it welded it. That's kind of annoying. But anyway, compression ratio 1.9. You can have the size of your G-codes by using G2s and G3s. Here we go. Arc weld statistics. So, shrunk a whole bunch of these super small ones, and I suddenly have like 20 times as many 20 to 50 millimeter radius arcs. Or 20 to 50, I think that's lengths actually. So that makes sense because this is 3.2 in the diameter. And then that would give it a radius of roughly 5-ish times, I don't know, it's numbers. I made my numbers better, so that's all I care about. It probably did a lot of cleanup in this area, would be my guess. Anyway, temp-wise, we're coming up to temps, so we'll just load and print that, and the Octopi camera is already on in the background. So we'll go back to the main window and close out of that. Oh, I should update this profile too. So try it with this new one. This is something I should have been doing, but I haven't been. Saving 3MFs with STLs of a given version, just so that I have the files saved somewhere. It's not super important because if I'm improving something, I don't really care about having the old one around. But it would be a good idea, generally. Oh, did I space? Yeah, okay, I sliced it with the right settings, so should be okay. Yeah, let's clean up the top now. Got all these existing features. Just gonna add really some fillets to this, is all it needs. So we could pick that one edge and say connect it to start loop. I may not even need to change that. You want to know how far away that is, though. 8 mils. Is it 8 mils from the front, too? Yep. Okay. I kind of like it being limited, though. The question is, do I want to add more chamfers around stuff? And the answer is generally yes. But... nah, just generally yes. All that one. Make sure that it's easy to get the tubes into place. Gonna add some tiny fillets in here as well. Can I do an internal to feature? Yeah, there we go. Always more fillets. Always more chamfers. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. It's funny because I did most of the work on this last night, so looking at this, I'm like, well, maybe there really isn't all that much that I need to change. Oops. Oh, those are angle fillets. Oh, that looks gross. Hang on. Symmetric. There we go. Normal again. Make it just a little easier to press all the buttons. My printer just... it made a little buzzing sound that was very uncharacteristic. It's like a farting bee or something. And I do know that I always want to add chamfers. Can't stop myself. So, we've got exterior profile chamfers. We have fastening holes. We have 3 fastening holes. We've got various interface chamfers. Well, we'll call them various access chamfers. They're not all access chamfers, but they do make the whole thing easier to put together. And then we've got fillet 2, which is button cavity fillets. I'm actually going to move that right below button cutouts, because those should be pretty close. Nothing else is going to happen relative to those, and I'm okay with it happening early in the tree. It's making the weirdest noises right now. I do not know what the deal is. What's the distance between these two? 1.4? I could probably bump this up to like 1 millimeter. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Ooh, I should probably add some chamfering to the top of it as well. .6. Go around the edge. There we go. Okay. Keeps the style well enough. Yeah. Okay, well, I mean, that took less time than I thought. um, let's open up the camera. Whoops, here we go. Octopi cam. I'll pull the same thing up on my screen, too. Just going at it. It's going to be going for another hour and a half, roughly, so I don't have an hour and a half more of stuff to show. I may do another stream. Oh. I had a little folded steel part that I had designed the other day that as like a, what if I wanted to do this for my shelves, but that's not really that important. So, and it's not something I'll ever really fabricate because I realized that it would cost me several $100s a piece. So, just to have little reinforcing crossbars underneath those shelves so I could put heavier stuff on it. And that still wouldn't make the posts heavier, so, I mean, you gotta know where adding mass is actually useful. Yep, just going at it. Alright, well, yeah, that's my favorite thing is having an idea in my head and then being able to, like, this whole stream took me 45 minutes, so a little less than that, to go from idea I had pretty much fully formed in my head this morning to finished model to into Cura with tweaks and then printing. So, yeah, thanks. How many people have I got? Wow, still 3 people here. So, howdy y'all. Or camera's over there. Thanks for coming. If you had questions, leave them in the comments. I think I have my email up on my studio about, or my channel about page, so if you have something that you would like to see modeled, or like, you'd like me to do tips and tricks or something, any suggestions, feel free to fire them away. So I am always happy to help people learn how to use this software better. So that's all I've got. Have a nice day. Boink.